And now to our first conversation. The National Pension Commission has released a list of 34 primary mortgage banks through which retirement savings account holders can access a residential mortgage. Out of the 34 mortgage banks, 19 are in Lagos, 7 are in Abuja, while 2 are in Akwa Ibom, and the rest are in other parts of the country. Let's talk to Vida Echetabu, Consultant General, 4th Avenue Limited. Join us right here in the studio. Great to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, laddie. You look mighty dapper today.
And you look great yourself.
Thank you. Thank you.
So it's finally here. You know, everyone's been waiting on this list.
Yes.
It's here now.
Yes.
How's the industry receiving this?
Let's just say that the list, I believe, came out on Friday, and the mortgage houses would be putting things in order, though we expect they would have been doing that prior to now. But it's welcome news, so at least it's a way forward, you know, beyond the guidelines coming out. People now know who to go and engage, you know. So it's welcome news. Contributors are excited, and I'm sure that most people that are doing their 2023 planning have that on their bucket list for Q1 next year.
Yeah, because we've been getting a lot of inquiries from contributors saying, oh, when is this going to happen? What can we expect? So
Yes.
it's here now, but 34,
Yes.
what do you think of this number?
I think that it's a decent number to start with. There are a number of old hands there, you know. The list is quite robust and spread across the nation. So for CBN and Pencom to have come out with that, then it means that those organizations are pretty rock solid, decent enough to be able to cope with, you know, the outcome of that guideline.
And decent enough, but what should contributors look out for, you know, in choosing your mortgage lender?
Okay, definitely they need to look out for more than a beautiful name, I would say. I would, as a contributor, one thing I would be looking out personally for would be speed of service, track record if possible, find out from other people who have used this mortgage lenders prior to this particular, you know, guideline. Accessibility too, because I mean, you may have a preferred one, but what if for some reason they're not in your location? You know, so I know that a lot of things are, you know, remote, virtual and all that, but you also want to make sure that you're working with a partner that is able to meet you at any point in time that you need that engagement. So those are critical things for me to look at. Beyond a transaction, we're looking at after-sales service, you know, relationship management. If there are hiccups, how do they deal with such things? Is it purely black and white, or are they able to bring the human, solution-oriented, you know, angle to the conversation? So those are critical things that I would expect contributors to look out for, because a lot of people will be marketing, you know, the mortgage lenders, but go beyond what appears juicy to find out, you know, it's in the little things.
You should also read the fine print.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, and there's some rates that are, well, clearly going to be too good to be true. If you have a too good to be true situation, then perhaps you should look at it properly and make sure it is really good to be true or
Right.
too good to be true. One of the two, you know. Of course, rates, because everybody is price sensitive now. Everybody is feeling the pinch, but don't dive so much that you now find yourself in a bigger issue. So do some homework. Even if you have a preferred one in mind, sample 2 or 3 other, you know, service providers in that territory and do a proper check. That would help as well.
All right, so the talk about the 25% there, what if that's not enough, you know, to get that dream property of yours? What happens next?
Okay, so let's even back up a little. For majority of holders, and you know Nigerians, we have very, very exotic tastes. So if we go by the exotic tastes that we have, and we go by the balances in RSAs, they're divergent. But that being said, if you do not have enough, if your 25% equity from your RSA is insufficient, then you would need to make up the difference. It's part of what was stated in the guidelines, that where you find a house of your choice, but your 25% equity is insufficient, then you make up the difference to the mortgage lender of your choice and then can proceed. But then again, it goes beyond a one-off payment. Whoever is doing that must also take into consideration the monthly payments and make sure that they're able to stay afloat while they're doing that. So it's a real balancing act.
And talking about the balancing act here, some already have existing, mortgages, and some might just say, you know what, why don't I, access this loan to, finish up this?
I know, right? That would be possible, I imagine, in the future. I believe strongly that what the regulators are trying to do right about now would be to reduce the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Now, so this particular access at this point in time is to give everybody who has not had the opportunity of accessing a mortgage at all, much less owning their own homes, the opportunity to take advantage of it. Now, I believe that providing an opportunity for refinancing is actually just going to benefit people who are already in clearly an advantageous position. So having that restriction at this point where it can be used for refinancing, I believe would play a role in reducing the gap, economic disparities between different cadres of people and career and all that. So for now, it can't be used for refinancing. I believe it would be a consideration maybe in the medium to long term, but let's see how many people we can actually put in a home ownership position. That's the way I would, perceive it.
And do you believe that, every contributor would have, access, to this equity?
Short answer, yes. Long answer would be everybody will have their time. And by that, I mean that the people who are just starting career or have worked for just 5 years and below, their 25% balances will not make any real impact in home ownership. It would be too small. So there is a process of time where people need to invest more, in their savings, in their future, by actually participating and having a retirement savings account and possibly also doing a voluntary contribution, because when you do a voluntary contribution, it somewhat fast tracks what the balance you would have would be. So everybody wants to own a house, everybody wants to buy a car, but just like every other asset, some people would be able to buy it faster than others. You will pay the price. It's part of life. You will grow into certain shoes. So everybody will have access to it, but financial planning is the name.
Is key. And obviously we know there, we know the immediate limitations to this, but are there others that we don't know about?
Right now, beyond the reasonability of accessing your 25% for obvious reasons being that your balance is too small to do anything meaningful, there really is not any. Maybe the other thing which could be a wild card would be employers who do not remit their pensions after deducting from employee salaries. Because again, part of the guideline is that you should have contributions for a cumulative period of 60 months or 5 years, as the case may be. So people who are intending to use that need to also hold their employers accountable. I also know that Pencom has recovery agents, that they send to employers who default, So there are sort of machineries involved, but like we say, lead me not into temptation comes before deliver me from evil. Right. So if people can actually pay attention and make sure pension remittances are made as due and when due, then, it reduces the issues surrounding accessing that.
Right. All right. We know this is obviously an inflationary period, globally, central bankers trying to rein in inflation at this time, even down here too. We've seen the Central Bank of Nigeria raise rates about 500 basis points. And, going into next year, who knows? We might see, more hikes because inflation is still here with us. So what are the other risks to this whole, arrangement?
Well, I'm going to answer that question in a not so straightforward manner. inflation challenges, economic challenges, yes, some of it is within our countries, localized, but part of it is also macro, is globalized. The central bank, the CBN governor, Ministry of Finance, and every regulator, and I hats off to Pencom because, I mean, they have guidelines that try as much as possible to shield the funds from, the impact of extreme volatilities. But if we're being frank here, across the world, the challenges are there, so everybody's taking a hit one way or the other. Best way I can say it is, it's going to be a continuously evolving strategy, to find a way to manage this situation. The other way I look at it would be that perhaps within Nigeria, we would have a more established regulator for the real estate industry, not because there aren't, bodies, so to speak, but maybe authorities that would be as present and impactful as CBN clearly, as Pencom clearly, as SEC, not just because of real estate, but to be able to monitor pricing of houses, because right now, best I know, anybody can build and call it their price. Whoever can afford it can buy. But like we see in Western society, there's a way of benchmarking properties in this area, fall within this range and all that. So those are things that I would foresee in the future, in the near, medium range future, to see that there'll be a bit more structure in the real estate industry, because there are many more people who are coming in there, and it really cannot be with every sense of respect, a free for all to just peg costs of properties arbitrarily, with their own.
Because looking at the industry, we're seeing, rising prices of properties
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Prices you could afford, before have more than doubled.
Or prices we thought we could afford.
We thought we could afford.
I know, right?
Yeah, so they're more than doubled at this time. And
Yes.
also, with the rate hikes, globally and back here, there's also that fear, of a recession,
Yes.
Come 2023. So.
Yes, that's a reality. It's a reality. I mean, before, when we used to shout aggressively about how tough things were here in Nigeria, we relied a lot on our relatives, friends, and family, abroad to help us out. But they are even screaming louder than we are right now. And here we can afford to say there's no light, so we had a hot night. Over there, they have cold, which is the opposite. It's very unlikely they can afford to have a cold night and make it into the morning. So the moving dynamics for everybody is a bit more stringent now. Everybody is a bit more touchy. I give an instance. I walked into a shop yesterday, and a pack of biscuits that I used to buy 800, 900, let's say 1,000, and they told me it was 3,000 naira. I lost appetite immediately. I didn't touch it. I walked away from it in a hurry.
Even I would lose appetite too. but going forward now, what do you think people should look out for next? As it pertains to this conversation about pension for mortgage.
Yeah. Okay. So what I would first of all like to tell people, would be that breathe. It's here to stay. Just like the entire Pension Reform Act, the contributory pension scheme, has come, is staying, it's working, we're all seeing it. Everybody may want to be in a hurry to quickly access this money, access it up quickly, but it's not a race against anybody. Everybody should just, take their time, access it when they are ready. Again, that's the onus on we contributors. It's not a race. It's not I want to quickly take it before they shut the window. There's no shutting of the window, best we know. The other thing, again, would tie to what I had said previously. I strongly perceive, and this is my sitting down to just project, that no longer can real estate transactions just be like that, so to speak. There really would need to be a more standardized, monitoring body, make sure that these houses are where they say they are, who is selling, why is your own two-bedroom property 2 million naira more expensive than the average one.
And the issue of title, too.
Exactly. So there would be a lot more, I imagine, attention being paid. It may not be boom at once, but it would evolve just as we have gotten here with the general, scheme. So
definitely a ripple effect,
absolutely.
Expected.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Vida Echetabu, Consultant General, 4th Avenue Limited. It was great having your perspective.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, so we've been talking pension for mortgage there. Next, we'll be heading on to other markets, and we'll also be looking at what's happening in the commodities market. Do stay with us. This is Business Morning.